from our virtual studios in the Netherlands.
And of course, Camarillo, California.
It's time once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, for your favorite marketing show that has geek in the title. It is the Marketing Geeks.
And this is the beginning of 2019. So get your New Year's resolutions ready if they're not already ready. We are going to set you on the path to achieve your biggest, your craziest, your most ambitious goals are going to happen.
That's right. We are going to unlock the secrets of what you need to make 2019 the most successful thing possible. And that is why we're here for your help. No, to help you. But you can help us too. How? We'll tell you.
Just stay tuned for that because we will reveal the secret to how you can help the Marketing Geeks.
That's right. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Marketing Geeks.
Growing a successful business has never been easy. But whether you're navigating a complex industry or trying to reinvent one, our breadth of banking experts are here to collaborate on market-proven solutions. At KeyBank, we're built to grow with your changing needs because we're not just here for the business you are now, we're here for the business you'll become. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2019. I'm excited. You know why I'm excited, Justin? Because this.
Why are you excited?
This particular episode is the one that I guarantee you, if you're listening to this episode right now, you're going to hear that one thing that's going to make you go, yeah, that's why I spend time listening.
That's the thing I've been missing. That's it.
That's right. And this particular episode is going to be a game changer for everybody because what we're going to do is we're going to give you the overview of what you need to do in 2019 to make sure, this is like the SEO, SEM checklist that you're going to need to make sure that you are successful in 2019.
And it's a game changer because while you've been playing checkers, we are going to move you into the chess room. We're changing the game.
In fact, while you're playing checkers, not only are we playing 3-dimensional chess, we are playing 5-dimensional Candyland. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it's a double game changer. That's even better.
Have you ever played 5-dimensional Candyland? It's crazy. I mean, I had to do a lot of ayahuasca to make that happen, but that's a whole other.
I was raised on 5-dimensional Candyland.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We are going to go over some awesome geek news. We are going to, there's some interesting things afoot in the marketing world, and we want to share that with you. So we're going to hit that up. We got the sex robot report, of course. And then we're going to get into kind of your SEO, SEM checklist for 2019. The things that you need to do to make sure that you are successful this year. Because if you are not doing the following things that we're going to tell you about, well, guess what? Your competitors will be doing those things. And then you'll be sorry.
And you don't want to be sorry. You want to be unapologetic.
No,
you want to be unapologetic.
No. That's right. Who wants to be sorry? I don't. So, all right. So we have some news ahead. Anything you want to share? How's your little vacay, my friend?
Oh, it was good. My vacay was good. I was up in Marin County, where I was born and raised, hanging out in good old Novato, California. And yeah, I got to visit the family. And you know what I got for Christmas?
Tell me.
You're gonna love this. I got a Nintendo Switch.
Get outta here.
Switch. I knew you're gonna love it.
Really?
I did. I got one. Yeah, and again, it's another one of those things where like I like Smash Brothers. So I'm a big Smash Brothers guy. But it's probably one of those things that I'm barely gonna play because it's fun for a little bit, but then it's I don't have time to play this shit.
That's right.
I don't have time to do it.
As I always say, that it's basically I keep them out of my house because it's like having a time machine. And as soon as I sit in front of one of those things, I'm 4 hours in the future. I don't know what happened, but like there I am. So I'm.
Well, I mean, of course, the reason we got it was for our 7-month-old child. It was for him, not for me.
Of course not. Yeah, get him hooked early. I actually got my son a cool game that is it's a program, a robot game. And so you got this little robot, and you take him out of the box. And
a sex robot game?
I'm saving that for his 6th birthday. But he actually is starting and teaching the fundamentals of programming. And this little robot, you give him commands like up, left, right. You have to go like move him around to pick up the little doggy to take him to the dog groomer, and if you do it right, then he gets his little. Well, I'm giving him. I don't give him anything, but if he doesn't make it, if he misses the mark, then I tell him that he's shaming the family, and he needs to think about that for a long time. No, but it's pretty awesome because I
go to your room and think about that.
That's right. But no, I'm using that in conjunction with code.org, and your son is only 8 months old, but code.org is a free service that teaches children how to code. So he's getting the basic understandings of it. He needs daddy's help still, but it's like most likely he will never need these skills, or he'll be talking to his therapist in 20 years about how I made him sit in front of a computer and force him to code, and now his life is ruined. So I don't know. One of those two things will happen. But it's pretty cool. And then I got myself a little yellow happy face ukulele.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, happy face ukulele. I like it.
Yeah. So one of these days,
can you play? Are you a ukulele pro? Can you play on the show one time?
You know what? I will. I'm gonna. There's actually a really cool app called Musician, and it has a ukulele list. The whole world's an app, and so I'm going to use that app to teach myself ukulele. And when I can really do Freebird and just do it in a way that will crush it, it will bring tears to your eyes. That's when I will play.
So here's the deal. You're going to use the app for the ukulele. I'm going to use the app for the auto-tune, and we're gonna start a band.
I love it, man. It's if this podcasting thing doesn't work out, I think we have a future.
It's a backup plan. Auto-tune ukulele music.
That's right. How about some news, my friend? Because I got a few stories that are really interesting.
Why don't you start it off? I got a couple here, but you go and kick it off. Kick off the first news story of 2019 and give us some 2019 news music.
Here we go. Fresh from the newsroom, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It is the Marketing Geeks news section of the program. First of all, I don't know how many people out there have clients who are either on Yelp and or you're on your Yelp yourself. It's a blessing or a curse, depending. It's like you could have a bunch of good reviews, and then some person gets a bad lemonade or a bad boba drink, and then it's all over for you. So, but they've just had a new update called Ghost. That's the update, and it's a major update apparently. So this seems to happen in October. This is courtesy of Search Engine Land. In early December, there was a client who was upset because his chiropractic office in California had lost a large portion of Yelp reviews. So he apparently, what happened was people started looking into this based on this one look, and it seems like by around 40% of people's total reviews have been gone to the not recommended section of Yelp. So basically, what they've done is they've done an upgrade to how the software recommends things, and there's a few key insights about this. So the update began happening around Halloween, and some reviews have now been ghosted or disappeared into the not recommended section. And the update seems to be largely invisible, so hardly anyone besides those affected have noticed the update itself. And so what that means is that if you have a recommendation, they may have just disappeared due to whatever reason. So I don't know if it's because a lot of the recommendations were phony, or they're trying to weed out some bad actors. But if you've noticed some of your rating reviews disappearing, there has been an update to Yelp. So.
Well, I know that with Yelp specifically, they weight the reviewers they basically have like an internal score. So if you're a reviewer that's only reviewed like one business, like if you get somebody that doesn't usually review on Yelp and they review your business, that's weighted a lot less than somebody that is on there constantly and has reviewed like 100 businesses. Their review is worth more than someone that doesn't review a lot. So that's one of the things they do over there, and maybe that's related to it. So maybe they're actually just completely hiding these reviews now.
Who knows?
They have an interesting company over there, and they have the most aggressive telemarketing team I have ever seen over at Yelp.
It's a bit of a scam, the whole thing, I gotta tell you. But
well, I don't know if it's a scam, but it's definitely they are aggressive and they're good. I mean, they're talented. They are a talented team over there at Yelp, but they are relentless to try to get you to spend $300 a month on advertising minimum.
Yeah, well, let's not do that. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe people will give us a good review on the show. I do not know. But
yeah. Well, I mean, if you have it's a little different if you have a brick and mortar store. If you're a service based or a home based business, I don't recommend spending your advertising budget on Yelp. I don't think it's a good idea. But I don't know. I've never really explored Yelp that deeply. So I'm not going to say no for sure, but I'm going to say probably not for any business would I spend a significant advertising budget on Yelp.
No, and it's also one of those things that once you're on Yelp, if a bad review can one bad review can ruin your business. So use with caution, use only as directed, and don't Yelp and drink. Here's another story. Facebook adds new reporting for click to WhatsApp ads. So apparently Facebook has a new campaign objective, and it includes traffic conversions and post engagement. And now it is they give you reporting for click to WhatsApp. So this is kind of interesting because, of course, Facebook owns WhatsApp. They're the owners of that property, and everybody seems to use WhatsApp. I know that's how you and I communicate mostly through WhatsApp. But a lot of businesses, and this is something that I want to address on your checklist, everybody, if you are a marketer or a business, you should have a WhatsApp number on your webpage because people are connecting to people through WhatsApp. So they're now integrating it into business. So if you are running a Facebook campaign, you can see how many people have actually clicked through to your WhatsApp your business. So that's kind of interesting. A new way to check analytics on Facebook.
Interesting.
So what do you got for me, Matt? Anything interesting?
I got the story about Apple and how the weakening Chinese economy coupled with the trade war right now with the United States have shaken consumer confidence in Apple. Mm-hmm. Well, in pretty much a lot of in the tech consumer devices department. So Apple has actually dropped their profit projections by $5 billion, is my understanding, for the quarter, I believe. And I don't quote me on that, but I know it's a $5 billion drop, and I believe it's for the next quarter, due to this weakening economy in China and the lack of consumer interest or consumers tightening their belts and protecting their money more. So that's. This could have ripple effects in a lot of ways. It could affect our United States stock market. It could affect, it could be a big switch for these bigger tech companies that are based on physical products. So I was reading somewhere else that Apple has always had a plan somewhat to switch to be more of a service-oriented industry, and they may have to accelerate that plan with these kind of things happening. So
now there's a couple of interesting components to this. Number one is they've also admitted openly now that people are not buying the new iPhones as much as they are fixing the old ones. And part of that has to do with the fact that the leap between the old versions and the new versions are not that big. So why should I spend an extra $500 or $600 on an iPhone when I could just repair my old one and it's pretty good, right?
So, I mean, in my opinion, that's exactly what prevented me from upgrading. Is that for the last 2 or 3 years, the leap has been very insignificant.
Yeah.
So it's if I'm going to upgrade, I want there to be a good reason for it. Because if it's just a minor, if it's just a minor shift, it's not worth it. And plus, it takes a lot of time to re-download everything, and there's all that setup that's kind of annoying in the beginning anyway.
Exactly.
So I think it's a lack of innovation, and I think Tim Cook is a great CEO, but I don't think he has the innovation that Steve Jobs did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tim Cook's probably a better businessman, but he's not Steve Jobs.
Right, and the thing with Steve Jobs is Steve Jobs had the ability to create products that nobody realized they needed until they held it in their hand, right? And once they had it, they were like, "Oh, I need this." The iWatch is not it, and I don't see anything on the horizon that Apple, unless they're coming up with Apple holograms in the near future. I don't know what the future holds. Now, there's another component. This is something that everyone needs to pay attention to, because this goes across the board. Whether you're a marketer, you're a business person, no matter what it is, the economy is absolutely slowing down. And when President 45 said that he wanted to create jobs in America and get factories going in America, yes, that's happening. However, those jobs are not being populated by people. They're becoming automated. And so what we're going to see is as automation starts to disrupt people and jobs, the economy is going to slow down. I have a friend of mine who works for a factory, head of HR for this factory, and this factory creates consumables for the restaurant market, right? And consumables for like a very large outlet, like a consumer, like a Target in America, and they make consumable goods for them, and everything is slowing down because people aren't dining out as much, so people aren't eating out as much, and because people aren't eating out as much, those restaurants are closing. And because of the closing, people are losing their jobs. Of course, there's the retail apocalypse. We've just seen Sears go out of business. So these are indicators. They're like the canaries in the coal mine. But what that also means is that the role of the digital marketer is going to be even more important moving forward. So anyway, these are all. It's everything seems to be spiraling. But if you pay attention to the show, folks, we will guide you in the right direction.
And it will be until AI gets more involved. And there are a lot of digital marketing platforms that are now, they're marketing that they're using AI technology. Now that AI technology, I think, is very first generation and not truly AI at this point. But in the near future, yes, AI is going to get involved in marketing, and pretty much every single job out there is going to be in danger. I mean, they have AI that are creating paintings now. Did you see that they did one of the AI computers created a painting that sold for like $1 million?
There's painting and poetry and music and the only thing that we're going to do is just walk around all the time.
So hopefully that's still at least 20 years off, but it doesn't look like it. But we'll see.
Until I get my robot legs.
Yeah. Last story that I want to bring up, which I think is interesting. So NBC News is reporting that Mark Zuckerberg and other Facebook executives are now fed up with the New York Times after weeks of what they're calling overly antagonistic coverage that portrays an anti-Facebook bias. Huh. So that the failing New York Times is after Facebook. As someone would tweet.
I really appreciate when news comes out about somebody. They say that they have a bias. Let me tell you something. If I drink too much, and I run into a lamppost, and I have to go before the judge, and he says, "I'm going to take away your license." That judge has a bias against me, and I don't like the way because he claims that just because I quote drink too much, then I'm a menace. So thank you, Judge, and your liberal bias.
Yeah. Well, so the specifics here are that they say the Times is portraying Facebook as a reckless, data-hungry behemoth, and they are ignoring the nuances of how the internet actually works in order to cast Facebook in the worst possible light imaginable.
Well,
a Facebook spokesperson, when confronted on this, said this: "No comment."
Yeah, you mean, so basically when they tell the truth, they say you don't know how the internet works.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that. I do think that the general, like the New York Times, they're not business people. So I understand that approach to it. But yeah, Facebook's done a lot wrong, and they did a lot wrong in 2018. So they need to right the ship here in 2019. And I think attacking the New York Times is not the appropriate way to get started on righting the ship. So it's not the smartest move to do that right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah. Hey,
that's
Facebook, if you don't want people to criticize how immoral you are, maybe you should stop being so immoral. I don't know. Just my take on it. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb marketing guy. Finally, the final news story that I have is there is I was talking about programming, right? And there is a platform called Scratch, and Scratch 3 just got launched. So if you have kids out there and you want to teach them programming, take a look at Scratch, just kind of a small geek story that might be interesting to those of you who have children or you want to learn programming yourself. Scratch is a program that allows kids to learn how to develop games, and you can develop kind of Minecraft type environments, and kind of cool. So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Very cool. And, so with that, let's get into the show. Let's get into the topic.
Segment. Yes. So we have for you a whole litany of things that you need to know if you are going to be a successful marketer in 2019, because it's good to just kind of, take stock of everything. At the beginning of the year, I like to set an intention, meaning what is going to be my personal theme for the year, kind of set the compass, if you will. Clear the decks, do a little polishing, see what I need, see what I don't need, take stock. And so we're going to give you a kind of a small little list of things that you might want to do in order to make sure that your marketing is A-okay for 2019. So what do you got for us, man?
We'll kick us off. So what's the first topic here? So we're doing you're going to give kind of a checklist, and I think I can help you with this. But what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with social media here and talk about 2019 social media strategies?
Yeah, so let's do 2019 social media strategies. I'm going to go over a couple of things. This is help with a bit of information from our pals over at SEMrush, which is a really great tool. If you have never used it, it is certainly worth your time. But there's a few things that you need to do just to kind of keep an eye on. And if you have clients, this would be a good time to call all of your clients, for instance, and just say, hey, it's 2019. Can we do a health check of your SEO and SEM just to make sure that everything's running okay? So here's a bit of a checklist I want to give you. So first of all, every day you should be just checking your posting calendar, making sure that everything thematically is fitting. Making sure, this is the basics, making sure that you're replying to comments and questions, monitor your brand mentions online and react to them if anyone's mentioning your brand, discover industry-related keywords and threads, making sure that you're completely relevant in those areas. Check what your competitors are posting. Now might be a good time to just kind of look and see what your competitors have posted over the past few months. Look at industry news, make sure that you're still relevant there. and discover trending hashtags, making sure that, because, all the time there's new hashtags, and sometimes the thing that you think you're relevant for may be either changing or may be referred to as something else. So make sure that you're relevant still, because if you checked your hashtags and your keywords maybe 2 years ago and you haven't updated them recently, you might want to take a look. Because sometimes even I had a client, for instance, who wanted to have a hashtag where when anybody bought their product, that someone else would buy it too, and if they did, they would win a prize. And the hashtag they wanted them to use was me too. So probably not a good idea, right? to use that for your product as well.
Not anymore. Or if you were like searching like a hashtag like movie pass is awesome, like in 2016, 2017, that hashtag was probably trending.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone
I don't think so. I don't think so anymore. I got a couple just to add on there that are just kind of off the top of my head, because that's how I roll, man. Well, number one is you need to have a posting calendar to be able to check and update one. So I believe that it is important to have a posting calendar. I also believe that you need to have some flexibility, and you could schedule ahead of time, but you also need to be monitoring that, because if something happens in the world or something, like a tragedy, something like that, you don't want to be caught with some sort of news that's totally out of place on a certain day. So it's important to kind of, if you're going to automate, you have to monitor, the context of what's happening in the world that day.
Yeah, make sure that you don't post the wrong year. In fact, this happened to someone in the Trump administration recently, where they criticized criticized somebody for not doing something. It was John McCain, and they kind of like, oh, John McCain hasn't done anything since blah blah blah, but he's been dead for several months, and so probably what happened was they scheduled the post, but then put the wrong year on it. So double check it. If there's lots of different scheduling tools out there. Some you can pay for, some are freemium, but scheduling calendars is a good thing.
Yeah, and then another thing for a daily practice is that you should be joining groups where your target market is hanging out. So the Facebook has millions of these groups, and so we talked about how you can monitor and you can comment on influencer posts, but you should also monitor and comment on these groups. I found that by doing that, you can create relationships that can lead to business.
Yeah, groups are very
one
good.
One of my mentors has done a lot of business just using this strategy. Pretty much, that's his main social media strategy, along with doing Facebook Lives, and he's doing Facebook Lives every single day, which is something that you can consider as well. Is the idea of Facebook Living once a day. But the idea is that you go into these groups, you provide value. You don't go in there spamming. I mean, obviously, we don't want to go in there asking. We don't want to ask for value up front. We want to provide value. I'm sure you've heard all this before. But when you do that without the intention, if you do that just to give value and be there, and then if you go in these groups, you'll find people asking questions. You're searching for when they're asking questions, and that's your opportunity to come in, private message them. Get to know them a little bit better, ask them questions, and develop the relationship richer and deeper, and that can lead to business. So those are my addendums to the everyday list.
That's good. So in that, it might be a good idea at the beginning of the year, since we are here, to think about developing some of those strategies, like getting into some groups, posting a little bit. You don't have to do it every day, but start with once a week at least. And track what you're doing. That's another thing, because if it's like if you're going to the gym, track how much weight you're losing, track how much weight you're lifting, and you'll find that soon enough you're actually getting some distance between you and what you were. So.
And to that point, Andros, I was reading the book The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss recently.
Brilliant.
And I think this concept ties into business as well. But he says that the act of tracking actually improves your results, because so he's talking about this in terms of weight loss, but just the physical act of like measuring your body and doing that has an effect on getting better results. And it's the concept that by you're doing that action is going to make you more likely and more proficient at doing the little actions that get results.
Yeah.
So I believe that if you're actually tracking every single week on your social media, that it's going to be the same concept. You're going to do better by tracking. So the act of tracking itself is a good first step to getting better results.
So with that, track your results starting now, and track your competitors' results as well. Because if you track to see how you're doing against them, in fact, one of the best quotes I ever heard is when you are tracking, don't track against like someone that you want to beat. Track against yourself, because you can always improve on yourself, and you may never catch up to someone else. So that's really where the high watermark is. So
that's a great point.
So anyway, that's one thing you want to start doing is tracking. Also do research for upcoming news and events that can be used to promote your product. So at the beginning of the month, you have 12 opportunities to do this. Start looking at different ways that you can integrate yourself into the story, if you will. So, whether or not it's being a speaker at a conference. In fact, I'm about to this very day, I'm going to start looking up different places that I can be a public speaker, or that we can, be co-presenters somewhere for whatever that may be, whatever our expertise are. So I'm going to start doing that as part of my ritual for the year. So what do you?
Nice. And I'm going to, speaking of speaking gigs, I'm going to be leading a speaking gig in February for grant recipients here in Ventura and Santa Barbara that were affected by the Ventura fires. Right? So a lot of business owners were affected by those. So that was one of the gigs that I've already booked this year. So I'm going to go out and speak to those business owners on how they can reacquire and reconnect with their customers after they've had a postponement of their businesses, or they've had a slowdown. So it's how can you bring back those connections, bring back those customers. So that's going to be an interesting speech for me coming up next month.
Oh, wow. Congratulations on that. I will be there in spirit for sure.
I appreciate it.
A couple of other things that you should definitely do right now. Review and evaluate your last year's KPIs and see where you stand. I mean, really take stock at like your entire year's performance, and take a look at how you did. Give yourself an honest assessment. Be real about that, and then kind of make some goals about where you want to be for the next year. So once you measure for last year's performance, set your goals, see if you can beat those. This is a good moment to do that. Also, conduct some analysis and make sure that you're targeting the right people. So take a look at all your campaigns. Make sure if the people you are targeting are still relevant. If you're targeting young people on Facebook, you're not doing it right. So if you're using ads that aren't working, if there's certain things that you keep trying because they used to work but they're not working now, just do a stock of everything that all of your primary targets, your client avatars, see if they're correct for you. And finally, the last thing that I recommend is make sure that your brand image is consistent across all your social media channels. Because a lot of times what will happen is you'll either have an updated logo, or you'll find that something is just not working right. So just make sure that your brand is consistent and everything is kind of working well on all of your social media channels. As far as the total marketing checklist goes, is there anything that you want to add, my friend?
I thought you were going to get into a few SEO checklist items as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Social media, I'm good. I'm good on social media.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing that I would definitely recommend, and that is if you don't have a Google Business account for your service, or if your clients don't, definitely set that up, because that's going to help your SEO. So take a look at it. Go into incognito mode. Do a Google search of the business. Make sure that it's popping up okay. Make sure that the pictures on the business are consistent and they look good. So if you need to do any housekeeping around that, make sure that you do. Because doing a Google Business listing is one of the most important, especially if you're a local business. That's one of the most important things that you can do. So
it's huge for local SEO. I mean, I think it's important for all businesses, but if you're wanting to attract local clientele for any business, whether you're a brick and mortar or you're not, you want to have a Google business page and you want to keep it updated. Now, keep in mind that if you're listing your business over multiple listings, so you're using Yahoo has one, Bing has a business listing, Google has one. You want to make sure that the name of the business and the address are consistent along all of them, or that can actually impact the way that it rates with SEO. So make sure that it's consistent. Make sure the phone number checks out, the address checks out. All those are consistent. You don't want to have inconsistencies, or that can be a problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got some Dutch cloggies on your roof there? You're practicing your Dutch clog lessons while we do the podcast? Just wondering.
Yeah. There's a party on the roof right now. So
I wasn't invited.
Yeah, that's just a techno. It's just a beat. You're hearing the beat right now.
You're right. I love it. Well, I got a few SEM, that's search engine marketing, things that you should know about now, especially at the beginning of 2019, because the search engine marketing game has changed in the past a little bit. For one, we've got the whole AMP phenomenon. Now, for those of you who don't know, AMP is kind of a system that was developed by Google, and it is, you go to ampproject.org for more information. You can also test your website to see if it's AMP ready. And basically what it is because the SEO game has moved mostly to whether or not your site is mobile optimized, whether it can be shown up on a website. Google has started to delist or derank websites that are not mobile optimized. So if your website is not AMP ready, then you got to get that together, because it is vital that you do that. So there's plugins that'll do it. But if your website doesn't show up well on a mobile phone, you are going to lose at SEO. And if you're on page 2 or 3, that's it for you. So make sure that your website is AMP ready.
And don't forget the SSL certificate, because the two most recent updates are the SSL certificate to encrypt your site with the HTTPS. So you can just purchase one of those, or depending on your web host, some of them provide it for free. I think Squarespace, if you're hosting through there, they give you a free one. If you're on GoDaddy, you have to buy it through them. But yeah, you could purchase an SSL certificate. It's a pretty simple process. If you have questions about that, if that's a big deal, we can go into that in more detail in a future episode. But you want to make sure you have an SSL certificate, and you want to make sure that you're mobile optimized. Those are two of the newer things in SEO, but then there's plenty more beyond that. That's right. I'm going to go over a quick list of other things you should just check. And for those of you who are not tech savvy, one of the things that I want to do is the following list of things. We are going to have probably some webinars on these very things over the next few months. But if you don't have the Yoast SEO plugin on your WordPress site, make sure you do that. Take a look at all of your keywords. Make sure that they're good. Yoast SEO plugin is really handy. You don't have to know much, but it really helps you with your SEO. Create a sitemap if you don't already have one, and make sure that you upload it to the Google Webmaster Tools. If you don't have that connected, make sure that you do. And a couple of other things. Double check your Google Analytics and make sure that it's working. Make sure that your pixel is firing, that your code is working. Do this also with your Facebook pixel. Make sure that everything is working properly. It's not a bad idea, because every once in a while things just conk out. There's some weird thing. So just take a look at that. And I think later this year, or at some point this year, we'll do a whole episode on Google Analytics, because or maybe even multiple episodes. That's a pretty deep topic. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you have the Google Analytics tracking code, or I guess you could call it a pixel, whatever they call it. But you want to have that installed on your site, and then it's good to have a Facebook pixel. Whether or not you're running ads, you can still track data with a Facebook pixel. So I'd recommend having it, even if you're not running ads right now. It'll track up to a year, I believe.
Yeah. So make sure those things are working. It's always a good idea to just double check, even if you know that they are. Just double check. Set up a Google Search Console if you don't have one. Then do that with your website. You can also set up your Bing Webmaster Tools if you don't have that, or just double check it again. So go over your keywords, make sure that your keywords are good and relevant to this day and age. I think I mentioned that earlier. So those are a few things. But one of the things that is something that a lot of people overlook with their website is search intent, right? So, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm getting into DJing lately. It's true. I wanted to start learning how to DJ, but I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea. So I started looking up, of course, the typical beginning searches of things like best DJing equipment for beginners or best DJ software for beginners. And so, for instance, that right there can be a keyword that you can easily dominate, right? So if you have a product or service, like case in point, there's a client that you and I are working on which does supply chain management. And so one of the keywords they were not utilizing is best supply chain management. And so if you create a web page with SEO that is directly covering all those parts that we mentioned earlier, then there's a good possibility you can actually get that your web page to be ranked quite high, especially if your competitors are not AMP ready. So think about your search intent and make sure that it's still relevant to what you're.
And don't forget that we're getting in more into voice commands, so that you should consider the idea that I think they call it native language is the term I believe they use for voice searching.
Or semantic search.
Yeah. So you should be considering that people are going to start, the search terms are going to be changing, because when you speak to search versus when you type to search, you usually are going to use different, slightly different sentences. So keep that in mind, because that's a changing thing. It's still, I think the majority of searches are still typed, but we are getting more and more into the speak to search market. So that's something you can get ahead of rather than fall behind.
That's right. So people's sensibilities and the way that they ask something changes all the time, and the vernacular of things, like memes will pop up, anything. So you got to make sure that you're not falling behind or somebody's taking advantage of your lost gains, because they definitely will. There's always going to be people who are using variations of long-form keywords that you may not be thinking of, and those one or two little things, they exponentially can help your competitor or help you. So,
and a lot of companies will be adding 2019 to the end of all these keywords to to make them relevant now. Yeah,
that's a really good point. So, for instance, if I'm looking up what is the best DJ equipment I can for beginners, I will probably click on anything that says best DJ equipment for beginners 2019 versus 2017. So, if you have anything that has dates in them, it's great for SEO purposes, but you may want to update the titles on those things as well. So,
and there's a lot. I think there's a lot more to this than we're going to have time to cover today. So I think we'll have to give some more of these on the next episode. Now, one other one that I did want to throw in before we, and you can give one more too, but is the idea that your images on your site. There's two things that you should do with the images on the site. Number one is that you should have some kind of compressor to compress the images, make them smaller. So you want to keep the resolution as strong as possible, but shrink the image to help with page speed.
Yeah.
And number two is you want to actually have tags inside the images, because the majority of sites out there do not do SEO on their image files. And that's an opportunity to kind of take advantage of something that other people are ignoring. So that's something I would bring up. Any last? You have one more you want to do, Andros, and then I think we'll get into some geek news and wrap up.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of thinking about like your content and making sure that people don't like to read as much anymore. So just go over your headlines, make sure that it's like quick and sharp and easy to read, and as I've always said, create content that people are interested in talking about. So if you post something and people aren't interested in what you have to say, it's not really going to be worth your time. But you know what is worth our time? That's right. It's time once again.
Oh, I almost forgot about this part of the show.
For your favorite part of Geek News. That's right. It is the Sex Robot Report. Here we go.
The inaugural 2019 right. report is here. Yes.
This comes from thesun.uk. This is kind of interesting. Sex robots will soon feel love and suffer devastating pain after we dump them, experts reveal. An expert says sex robots will be, quote, customized to become their purchasers' perfect partners. So Professor Robin McKenzie, Director of Law and Medical Ethics at Kent Law School, claimed that robotics will become so advanced that they will become human-like and feel pain and suffering. Some people will pay extra for that module, I'm sure. She told Tech Explorer humans have the need for intimacy and will drive the design and manufacture of science and self-aware male and female sex robots. These sex robots will be able to be customized to become their purchasers' perfect partners, and they will be like us in some ways, but not in others. Sex robots will be customized to love us, acquire deep knowledge for us, and as a part of the self-customization process, will be able to suffer.
Well, why do we want that? I mean, because like this is what's going to lead to the backlash. If they're suffering, like, aren't they going to want revenge? Like, hell hath no fury, like a sex robot scorn.
I don't know, man, because if a Psycho X can like track your every movement with simple technology and go on Facebook and find out who you're dating and track, imagine what an AI can do, man. I for one will not want a Psycho X sex robot girlfriend, unless unless you're into that sort of thing. Then who am I to judge?
Have you seen Westworld?
I did.
You see what happens. You see what happens when you piss them off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I agree with you. I guess. But some love affairs are just love is complex, man, and that's that's all I can say about that. So
that's just love, man. That's just love.
Just love. Can a man and a robot just love each other? Who you hurting?
That's going to be interesting when people are trying to marry them, which I guarantee will happen at some point in the future, and there will probably be a whole news cycle about it.
All I can say is if a guy wants to marry his sex robot, he's not going to be reproducing. So good, yay, let that happen. We don't need you in the gene pool anymore, human. So anyway,
all right. Well, let's get into some geek news here because let's talk a little bit geek news. I'm going to start because I watched the brand new Choose Your Own Adventure Netflix episode of Black Mirror called Bandersnatch. Have you heard of this, Andros?
Oh my God! Don't spoil the ending. I'm just kidding. There's a million endings, but you spoiled it for your review. How was it?
It was very interesting. It was it was thought provoking, which I enjoyed. And it made it it did make it a little bit of a fun experience. And I actually went through and I watched it twice because I don't like leaving open loops for myself. So I had to go and try pretty much every possibility that interested me. So I went back through it and changed some of my options. I wanted to see what would happen differently. I enjoyed it. As far as content goes, it was a pretty good episode. It was actually it was pretty good all around. So I think the content was actually pretty strong. not their strongest episode, but the fact that they had the that interactive component to it was pretty awesome. And then I was reading online how this could be big because it makes it a lot harder to pirate. Now, you can still pirate this, I'm sure, and sure people will figure it out. But it's a lot harder to pirate when you have this special technology with the choose your own adventure happening.
Yeah, but the question is the interactivity? I mean, yeah, we'll have to see if it's something that people will gravitate to, or is it just kind of like 3D where it's
Speaking of that, though. There was a separate article about how Netflix will be gathering data, like psychological profiles, practically on what decisions you make. And so my psychological profile is not looking so good after I watched that episode.
Well, all we know is that you will be the first against the wall when the revolution comes. So, enjoy it while you have it. I saw Bird Box. Bird Box, my spoiler-free review for Bird Box. It's a quiet place with sight and some sound, and but Sandra Bullock is awesome as always. The movie is I give it an A+ for its post-apocalyptic nature, which I always love post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic films, I should say. The ending left me a little. It was a little flat, I felt so. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out. Now, Netflix claimed that it did like 45 million downloads its first week or something. That's what their claim was.
And people are taking the Bird Box challenge, which is, I guess, they're just running out with a blindfold, trying to cross the street or something. And actually, Netflix had to release a statement saying, "Please do not take the Bird Box challenge." So,
it's kind of like the Tide Pod challenge. Well, I guess I think it's safer than the Tide Pod challenge.
I would say, but anyway, it was worth watching. Another, since we're on the Netflix tip, one of the things I left off of my favorite things of 2018 was actually this amazing show called The Hollow. It's a kids show. And it was one of the few kids shows that made me, I sat down and I just watched it all the way through. I binge watched it with my kid. Really great show, highly recommended. Whether or not you have kids, The Hollow. It's very, very well done, very well written, really interesting. I will not spoil it because it has some interesting twists to it. But that was actually one of my more favorite things of 2018. So
yeah, a couple more stories here. So there's a new Spawn movie coming out this year. I believe it's coming out this year with Jamie Foxx filling the role of Spawn, and it's directed by Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, which is kind of cool that the creator is actually directing the movie. And in a quote, when he was asked to describe how this movie will differ from its predecessor, the 90s movie with, all I remember is John Leguizamo dressed as a clown. I don't know what else happened in that movie. But in this one, he described this new Spawn as a joyless, dark, ugly 2 hours. So, I mean, if that doesn't make you want to see it, I don't know what will.
That reminds me of how I would describe my first marriage.
No comments.
But here's the thing that's interesting is just because the creator gets a hold of the source material again, so he can actually run with it again, doesn't mean that it's going to be good. Case in point, the very, very disappointing Predator movie that came out. Shane Black wrote the original. He directed this one. He's a competent director. Yeah, didn't not so much.
Andros, on top of that, though, this Spawn movie has like a very small budget. I think it's I believe it's around 20 million. They don't have a lot to work with. It's about a third of what Deadpool had to work with, and Deadpool was considered a small budget too. So it could be really bad potentially, but it's still interesting especially because the creator's directing it. To me.
Well, I don't know. Interesting is like, how would you describe your meal, sir? It was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, also about Predator, this news came out just the other day that they had alternate endings for the Predator that would have seen the return of Ripley and Newt at the end of the movie. Not Sigourney Weaver, but just like somebody in a suit with the Ripley name and Newt names or something like that. I don't know, but that you don't want to mix Alien with that travesty of a movie. So I'm glad that they nixed that idea.
Hopefully we will not have any more disappointing reboots or sequels. But of course, the year's just starting. Yes.
Oh, we will. I guarantee it.
And we'll be
no
here to
getting around
jump on that grenade for you so you don't have to. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, another highly wonderful episode of the Marketing Geeks. I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Tate McGowan, who is a listener to the show. He contacted me on LinkedIn. We had a great conversation. I helped him out with some marketing things. If you have any questions, honestly, we're accessible to you guys. Call us or message us via LinkedIn. And if you become a sponsor of the show, link down below, then we will give you even more goodies.
That's right. Yep. For $5 a month, you'll get all access to the webinars that we've recorded. For $20 a month, you'll get access to a private 1-hour phone call with us once a month. So we'll actually do a group call, 1 hour, and it will be you, us, and a small group that will be answering your questions and helping you out. And that's the best deal in town. If you have questions, we have answers.
Yes, and at the very minimum, please recommend this show to 500 of your closest friends. We love you, people.